Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a very special Art by Lar painting brought to you by the State Personnel Department. And we're going to be painting for the Indiana Health Department for their charity, Indianapolis Urban League. And before we really get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to Brent and Eric from the State Personnel Department for arranging this and making this all possible so we can have a little bit of fun today. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what we've got going on here. So first of all, I'll show you what I have on my palette. We just have some real basic colors. We've got just your basic red, white, yellow, blue, and some black. If you're fortunate enough to have green and not have to mix it yourself, you're a step ahead of the game. I just like to mix my own just so I can get a really good, the green that I would prefer. So, and I'll show you what we have going on up here. We have a big 24 by 30 inch stretched canvas, and you can use whatever you have laying around. You can use some printer paper if you happen to be in the office, and some markers and some pens, or if you happen to have a canvas, just like a 16 by 20 stretch canvas. You can get them really cheap at any of your favorite art and hobby and craft stores. So what I'm going to do, and we're just going to start with something simple, and I'll try to work fairly quickly so it don't take you your entire lunch time, but came up with this design just kind of off the top of my head before I really even knew what charity that ISDH was going to be sponsoring. And but after I had finished the example was when I learned that what their charity was, and I just kind of felt kind of blessed that I was already led to something that really ties in for what they're working with. So the first things first, I'm just going to take some red, and this brush that I'm using here, so it has a chiseled edge to it. This works really great for drawing lines and doing such things, making fairly straight designs. And I'm just going to start in the center, and I'm going to draw a heart. So I'm just going to start in the middle, just kind of work my way around. And I'll add some more paint as I go. All right. I'll just kind of go over this line here again, just because it got a little thin at the bottom there. And then I'm going to start with the other side, also starting at the top, and try to make it as even as possible, as equal to the other side. Sometimes, as some of you may know, painting the opposite direction of what your dominant hand is can be a little tricky, especially if you're trying to keep things symmetrical. But we're going to do the best we can here. All right. And just kind of, and I'm just going to kind of color some of this in, especially since I'm using a larger canvas. It helps to have a rather wide brush, just so you can I can cover a little more space a little more quickly in filling in this area here. And I'm just kind of starting from the outside edge of the heart and kind of painting my way in. It'll just give it a little cleaner look. I hope some of you are having a great. Hope you all are having a great day so far. I did start working, today, and working from home, which really makes this much more convenient to do this. That's for sure. And it's been, it's been a good day so far, and I've been looking forward to this because it's always a great day when I get to paint. So, and let's see, we're just gonna kind of color that in. And I have a lot of space to cover in here, so this might take a minute. All right. Sorry about the noise. Sometimes it gets a little loud when you're beating the heck out of the brush onto the canvas there. And the reason why I'm starting with the heart first instead of everything else is just because I actually want, since I'm using acrylic, the paint will dry pretty quick, and I'm going to want to put some things within that heart. Um, and that'll just give it some more extra time to dry before I get to that point. Just kind of clean that up a little bit, and I'm not going to be too worried about how the edge looks. So I'm going to do some special things around the outside there to that will essentially kind of hide some of that edge. So I'm not going to be too precise on it. Let's see here. I was thinking if some of you are working from home and you have kids that are homeschooling or who aren't actually in school due to COVID and everything, maybe you can bring them in and they can paint and maybe be like a little art class for them. So I maybe kind of give you a break and give them a break from the computer screen. Because it's always more fun to paint than it is to learn. All right. Okay. And I'm just trying to make this look as smooth and even as possible. There might be some brush strokes, but just taking some of those out. There we go. Yeah, I only have a nice heart there. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my brush. And I'm just washing it in just a cup of water. It doesn't have to be warm water or anything like that. Just an every old day tap water. Then I'll kind of dab it off on a paper towel that I have down here. And I just want to check, make sure that y'all are hearing me okay, and make sure that the volumes are coming through well. Okay. All right. Thanks, Heather. Glad to have you with us. And let's see here. So now we're going to do some background shapes. And I'm going to use, let's see here. I'm going to also use that same chisel brush, the same angled brush. It's probably one of my favorite brushes for doing all sorts of things. The point of it kind of helps to get in a little smaller areas, and just makes it much easier to work with. So I'm going into some black, and I'll switch to my palette view so you can see a little bit better. Yep, I'm just going into some black. And I'm not loading it up super thick. Just a nice even coating of paint on the brush. I'm gonna go back up to my picture there. Put it on the main one, and I'm going to kind of make a silhouette and some indications of some distant buildings. Nothing real fancy, just some basic shapes. Maybe just some squares off in the distance. Just kind of put a few of them together. Now, if your red still happens to be a little wet, you might end up with some reddish black buildings. That's entirely fine. That's not going to hurt anything at all. And you can always go back over it with some black later on and fix those if you do decide to. And since it's kind of like a city background here, I just make it some different shades. I make some things that look like roofs and roofs, however you might say it. Okay, and I'm just gonna make some different height buildings. Make some taller ones and And as I'm kind of going upwards along the edge of the heart, I'm going to make them look a little bit bigger. That'll kind of give the illusion of some depth and some distance. Maybe that those buildings are getting a little closer. And I'm just kind of just real gently, just kind of blending those downwards because I'm going to put some other things over top of these, and I don't want too much paint to interfere with that. Okay. Add some more black. And let's see, I'm going to make a building that kind of looks like the JW Marriott building. So that's that nice curved. From the west side here, we like to call that the monolith, because it just looks like a big dark, ominous shape in the off in the horizon there. It's kind of fun. But so in order to make that, first of all, I'm going to kind of make the curved shape first, and then I'm going to bring it downwards. And I'm going to bring the side of it over a little bit. I might end up going over top of this other building that I made, but that's fine. It's a silhouette. It can do that. And I'm just going to make it a big dark shape there, but one will definitely be able to recognize. Just want to at least get some sort of a reference to Indianapolis when I can. Okay, and let's see. Let's see if we can get the what I think it's at the Salesforce building now. It used to be the Key Bank, used to be Chase. It used to be all kinds of different things. So I'm going to start a little bit inward from the Marriott building, and I'm gonna have to change brushes just because with the angles and the shapes that I need, I might need one a little different. So I'm grabbing a little smaller square brush. Okay, going right back in with the black, and I'm going to make this a little wider here. So I probably could have stuck with the angle one for a minute, but that's okay. Let's kind of bring that down. But since I want to make it look like those towers, now I'm going to have to put a smaller rectangle. And that's the thing. When you're looking at shapes and when you're trying to paint things, when you're looking at it, break it down into its most simple shapes. So you're thinking about the Chase, the Chase building or the Key Bank building. Make it a large rectangle first. Then on top, paint a smaller rectangle. Then on top of that, paint a smaller rectangle still. And maybe one more. And the nice thing about these squared brushes, if you use the top edge, that automatically gives you a straight line. That gives you a nice straight edge. So that's just definitely, just easier to make sure you get nice straight ones. And now we'll just go ahead and add a couple little vertical things there for the towers or for the antenna. And that's pretty close. That's a pretty good indication of the pretty good representation of the Key Bank building. Chase, Salesforce. I've kind of lost track of their names already. Okay. I'm just kind of pulling that down a little bit. All right. Let's see here. I think we're going to be okay for right there. I'm just going to stop there and kind of let that black dry a little bit, since it might take a little bit. And I'm going to kind of go to the bottom, and I might have to angle my camera down a little bit. Let's see if I can do this without anything falling apart. Okay, let me angle this down just a tad. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of make a little indication of like a little road. So I'm just going off to the side here. And I'm gonna kind of make it about equal on the other side too, just so I have an indication of where it's going to go. And I'll probably paint over that somehow, whether it be with foreground stuff, or you know what, I might even decide to change that and turn it into I don't know, a lake or something. Who knows? We'll just go with it. But I just kind of wanted to give myself a guide as far as how I wanted my foreground, as far as the perspective. Okay. Okay. All right, now, while the left side's drawing, I'm going to go ahead and do some things on the right side. Going back to my favorite brush, the angled brush, I'm going to start in the distance, and we're going to make some indications of some distant trees. And you could call them heavy trees if you like. That's all right. I don't think that's copywritten. And I'm just going to kind of make some little indications of maybe some distant pine trees. And I'm just kind of tapping the brush. And as I'm tapping the brush, like the bristles are going to kind of open up. You know, it's going to kind of make some really neat shapes. And I'll also get in there with the fan brush in a little while, but not just yet. Reloading some paint here. Okay. Add a little more. Maybe make it a little taller. And I'm just tapping. Nice and dark. I'll make a little shorter one down over here. There. Okay. And I'm going to change brushes for a second. Let me rinse this one off. I'm going to go back to the smaller squared brush. This one here. Uh-oh. Looks like we may have froze up here. Is everything still going? Yeah, it's always a bummer. Okay, let's see if we can get something fixed here. Okay. It looks like it got it looks like my GoPro may have froze up. So we'll just have to go with a different one. Okay. Well, we'll just have to use a different camera. Not the one I had preferred to use, but looks like my GoPro froze. Let me see if I can get this one fixed here real quick. Okay. There we go. I think we got it back. Good deal. Yep. Yeah, that's how you can tell it's live, because it's these things happen. All right. So as long as everything worked out all right, you know, hopefully that'll be our only happy accident, right? Okay. All right. So I went back to this small rectangular brush here, and I'm just gonna do some little vertical, little straight things here, and I'm gonna kind of make a little happy little tree here, a little happy little pine tree in the background. Let's add another one over here, and I'm just kind of tapping a straight vertical line there, and then I'm just kind of going sideways to make some trees standing out. Let's make another tall one over here. All right. Oh, gotta have one more big one over here. All right. And I'll add some other things here. This is just really dark background stuff. There'll be some things going up in the front as well. So let's see here. Maybe we'll make one more tall. No, yeah, no. On second thought, we'll just leave that tall, the building side as it is right now. Okay, let me look back and look at this here. Sometimes this kind of painting you just kind of go with the flow. You can have a vision in your head, and then all of a sudden something happens that makes you change your mind on things. Sometimes these paintings can kind of take on a life of their own. All right, I'm just going to make another little building over here off in the distance. It looks kind of empty over there. All right. Okay. Now let's get in and add some things with some color here. Okay, so I'm going to go in with back to my angle brush, and let's see. We want to make some houses and some other buildings. So let's oh, what color? Okay, let's start with that. Let's make a like a light blue house first. So I'm taking some white off to the side here, and mixing it with a little bit of blue. Just kind of creating a light blue color. And I'm just going to go in here. I'm just going to pick a spot and just kind of decide where I want a house to go. And if you happen to get some of the black, you mix it in there from the background, that's entirely fine. That's not going to hurt anything. And I'm going to try to keep my perspective in line. So for the bottom edge of the house, kind of make it so it lines up with that little indication of the road that we have going on. That just kind of helps to give a little bit of perspective. Granted, with the speed that we're painting this in, it may not turn out as good as we would like, but sometimes that happens. We can go in and fix it later if we'd like to. And I might actually have to use some of the black to fix one of the edges here, which I'm going to do right now. I'll just have to wait a minute to go back in and fix that blue. Okay, and I'm just going to keep that indication of that blue house. I'm not going to add in too many details just because that paint's still wet. Then you might end up with a little muddy mess right there. Okay, so let's do the one house there. Then let's do another one. Rinsing my brush off. Let's do like a yellowish house. So I'm going to grab some yellow. And we don't want it like one of those ugly yellow kind of colors. We'll just add a little bit of white to that and lighten that up a little bit. Some of those canary yellow houses are pretty amazing. That's for sure. Okay. So using the white, I'm going to go next to this other house here. I'm going to make another roof kind of shape there. Kind of bring it down, have it line up pretty close with the blue house as far as along the bottom edge. There we go. And not really too worried about proportions and stuff. I mean, try to get them fairly close, but this is more of a fun, almost a whimsical kind of thing, just with the way the things are going to turn out. And Yeah, so we can just have some fun with it. If you want to make them perfectly straight and break out a protractor and a ruler, you're more than welcome to. But I'm not going to do that today. So let's see here. What other color house do we want? Let's put another house in there. Let's anyway, well, let's just make it like a brown house. So I'm gonna make it. Got my yellow. I'm gonna add a little tiny touch of red. And when I say really tiny, I mean really, really, really tiny. Um, I'm actually gonna add a touch of blue to kind of mute that a bit. I might need to add maybe a little touch of black. And sometimes, yep, a little more yellow. Because really brown is just a dark muted version of orange. And sometimes you just kind of gotta play with the colors until you get that shade that you're looking for. That's a pretty decent brown. Let's go with that. It's kind of a beige-ish, kind of a dark tan color. So let's make another house, and this time, we could make it almost more of a squared. Maybe it's just like a little local shop or something, or a little store or something. Okay, and since this is getting close to where the end's going to be at, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of square that off here. And I'm just going to kind of paint that in there. Okay. Let's try to clean that up as best possible. I'll probably maybe I'll put like a tree over here or a bush or something like that on this edge and kind of hide that and clean that up a little bit. You know what? Let's make the the roof a little fancier. I'm gonna go ahead and make it like a little domed kind of roof there. Like a storefront or something. Or just having fun. Okay. All right. That's now I'm without even cleaning my brush, I'm just going to go in with some black. Let me back up here a minute. I'm going to grab my smaller squared off brush. And I'm going to put some roofs on some of these houses here. I'm just going to kind of make it like a dark grayish color. And starting with the blue one, it's going to kind of draw it back there. There. Kind of give a little indication of a roof. We can just bring that up over there, and I'll fix that little blue spot there where it kind of hung over there. Just using a small round brush just to clean that up a little bit. Just gonna fill that in. And I'm going to go back through and like add some doors and windows and that kind of thing after a bit. So let's see for the yellow house. Let's do a brown roof. Yeah, let's kind of change it up a little bit. I'm just going to keep that kind of a grayish color that I had. Just adding, and using some of that brown that I created for the brown building. Okay, I'm just going to okay. Okay, let's just kind of get an indication of where that roof would stop. And just kind of filling in the gaps there. Now, my just so you know, my preferred medium is oils. Um, acrylics, acrylics were my previous favorite before I discovered oils. Just because the ease of cleanup, and they were just really easy to work with. And of course acrylics tend to be a little bit less expensive too. And of course, just like everything, there's always a little higher prices for the good ones. But once I started playing with oils and kind of experimenting with it and really trying to work with the Bob Ross, the wet on wet technique, I really discovered a great love for it. It is really easy. It's a lot of fun, and it's actually relatively affordable. I mean, once you buy your brushes, which will last forever, then you just have to restock your paint from time to time. And okay, that's what we can do here. We're gonna make like a little roof edge there. Kind of making this like it's like a facade of a building. Because we're kind of looking slightly down from above. And I'm gonna make make the roof in there just kind of black. And we're not going to get super fancy and super detailed in here, like I said, just especially with our limited time. But yeah, if you're at home and that this video will be available after it's all said and done, so you can't I believe the State Personnel Department is planning on posting it on YouTube, and plus it'll also be available on my Art by Lar page here. And you can watch it anytime you want. If you want to, or at least get some ideas, and if you want to turn it into your own and have your own fun with it, absolutely. I hope you do. And, yep. Okay, I'm making up a little bit more brown so I can finish this roof of the yellow house here. May have gotten a little yellower on that roof, but that's okay. Like I said, we're just gonna run with it. Happy accidents, no mistakes. Okay, rinse the brush off. I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit more of that yellow. I see I got a little bit of a unfinished spot here. All right, let's add some little windows and doors to our buildings there, and I'm just going to use that same square brush. I'm just going in with some black, and this is the easiest way to make some windows and doors. And you could also make little steps too if you wanted to, but we're just going to keep it simple. And first of all, I'm going to start with the blue house, and I'm just going to make it square. Then just paint just paint a little sideways line. Okay, and we'll do this. We'll do the same thing with the yellow house. And when I'm painting the doors, I try to keep since I'm using that flat edge of the brush, I try to paint, make sure that the top edge of the door is relatively parallel, if not, oops, there's a happy accident. I try to keep the top edge of the door parallel with the bottom, or with the ground, with the road, so to speak. That helps give the illusion of, the perspective. And okay, that door's going to need some help after it dries a bit. So let's go ahead and let's put a little window on the side here. Put a couple windows in there. Let's put a little window up on the top too. Why not? Here. And we can, if you wanted to, you can give it like, do the indication of like things that look like some boards, like some siding and stuff. So just kind of rinse off your brush. And I'm just making kind of a gray color, and using that edge, I'm just going to kind of start at the top and just kind of tap some. Yeah, just something really easy, just real simple. This is, like I said, just kind of gives a little indication of some boards. Obviously most houses aren't going to have that big of boards on there, but we're just we're not house builders. We're painters, so we have our own ways of thinking about things. Okay. Yeah, it gives a little character to those. And I'm going to do the same thing with the brown one here too. The brown one's a little fancier, just because it has that curve. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go up and around where I see an edge. Okay. And then let's get fancy here. Let's make these vertical. Yeah, and we'll give it like a little fancy facade here. That's going to go across there. And you can give it the indication of like some bricks or whatever you want to do. These building houses can take a while. Okay, I'm gonna paint another door in there. Maybe we'll make this a bigger door since it happens to be a storefront or something. Now, usually, when I'm doing my own paintings and everything, and whenever you're painting, you always start with the background first. Your skies and distant trees and anything else you're wanting to put in there, and and always work your way forward. In this case, we're putting some buildings. Yeah, we probably would put something in between the backs of these houses and say like the city buildings. Um, that could be a happy accident. We can kind of work with that. Let's see here. I'm just kind of making some siding on the side here. Okay, I'll put another couple little windows up in here. Yeah, That's cute. That's kind of nice. Looks nice and inviting. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So let's. What do you say we add some? Let's add some trees in between the houses there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with that same angled brush that I like so much. It's just so much easier. It's a really great brush, fun to use. And I'm going to make some green. And I'm going to switch to my palette view here so you can see that. Oh, let's see here. All right, palette view. So yeah, I'm just going to pull some yellow first. Then I'm going to add a little tiny, real tiny touch of blue. And I mix those together. That's actually a really nice green. But I think I want to make it a little darker. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to it. Maybe a little tiny, that's a little, like little speck of red. That'll kind of, that'll mute it. So instead of necessarily just adding black, if you add a little bit of red, it'll mute it, but it'll still keep it natural. It won't be quite so dark. There we go. And I'm just going to come up in here, in between the trees here, just kind of tap in some indications of some trees. I'm going to be careful not to get the trees on top of my houses there. I'm just going to kind of go right along the edge there. Okay. All right. There. At least just give some trees in there just to kind of fill that up a little bit. And I might go ahead and, after this is all finished, I might go ahead and fix this so it's not quite so you don't see the bottom edges of the buildings. So let's add that color in there. That's real nice. So let me go ahead and switch this back to GoPro. There we go. Kind of give you an example of what's going on there. I add a little touch more blue, green, a little touch more red. Might make it a little darker. Maybe make it not quite so. There we go. There, that helps a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and clean the brush off. And we're going to go and do some work on the other side. Okay. Now, what I want to do first, I want to make some land. So I'm going to use this a larger, a wider, flat brush. And I'm going to make some, let me wet that down a little bit, a little too stiff. All right, on second thought, I changed my brush. I have a smaller angled brush, just a little smaller one, you can see. And I'm going to go ahead and I want to make kind of a brownish, beigeish, sandy kind of color. So we're going to get some yellow, a little bit of red. Oh, that's probably a little too much red. That's okay. We can work with that. Let's add some white, more yellow. And I may have to pull some of this color off to the side and work with it elsewhere. That's because there might be a little too much red in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and move some of this over here. I'm going to add quite a bit more white. Yeah, kind of a beigeish color. Yeah, that'll work. A little more yellow. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to make the indication of some distant land. So I'm just going to make a big section here. Just going to make a big section of just kind of a dirt kind of area. If you want to make this green, that'd be good too. Maybe make a little grassy area if you want. And I'm gonna bring this up even further here. And some of these colors are more of a transparent color. So, since I put the blacks underneath there, I didn't really take the time to blend them out like I normally would. So you may have to go through with some and go over it a few more coats in order to cover that stuff up, or just put something over top of it. In this case, we really won't be able to put much over top of it right now. So I'm going to, since we got this going on here, I want to create let's go ahead and create a bright red barn. So I'm taking my angled brush. Oh, looks like we lost the GoPro again. I don't know why this keeps freezing up. There we go. And we're back again. Good thing I keep checking on that from time to time. Huh? Okay. Okay. So now over here on the right side, I'm going to take my angled brush here, and I'm going to take some red. I might even add a touch of yellow to it just to brighten it up a bit. And I'm going to come right up over here, and I'm going to paint a big old barn. And again, since I'm painting over the black that's already there, it's going to take a few coats of the red to get it over there, to match that up. That is actually kind of one of the disadvantages of having relatively inexpensive paints. Actually, in this case, they were cheap. They were in bulk. That's just one of the things you have to deal with. With paints, just like with brushes, you do get what you pay for. So let's see here. We're just gonna make let's kind of make a barn here. Okay. All right. Let's clean that up. Then I make the indication of where the roof's going to go. I'm just going to make this to make the barn kind of run off the back there. That's a big barn. You've heard that song, I like big barns and I cannot lie. All right. Okay, enough with the jokes. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, that'll at least be my indication of the barn there. And go ahead and set that brush off to the side. I have my smaller angle brush, and I'm going to make the mix up some gray. All right. Okay. And I mix up. I'm going to kind of mix up a dark gray here. And this will be for the roof of the barn. So I'm going, since this is, I'm going to figure out where the top of the barn is. Just kind of go off to the back, and then I'm just going to make the indication of where the barn's roof will be. And using that, again, the angle brush works really well for drawing straight lines and straight edges and trying to get those shapes as good as possible. Okay, now I'm just going to color that in. Okay. I'll fix that up a little bit. All right. Okay, and let's see. I'm going to use some white, and going with the let's see here, white, a little bit more red, actually a little tad bit of black. I'm just going to make some the indications of some boards. Okay, first we want to do the cross boards here. Let's do the vertical boards for this here. Okay, got some vertical boards here. Okay, reload. Just kind of made a little wider one here right by the corner, make a little bigger, little larger board. Okay. All right, let's rinse my brush off. All right, what I want to do, let's see here. We want to need to put a door in for the barn. All right, let's see, how do I want to do this? Let's go ahead and with okay, let's I'm going to use my smaller squared brush. Okay, just use my smaller squared brush. And you know what? I'm not going to use black. I want to use white. I'm not really necessarily going to paint the door per se, except the outlines of the door. Let's see, try to find a good color here. Actually, what? I take that back. Let's do a window first. Since I already have black on my brush, I'm going to go ahead right here in the middle, up at the top. Make a little indication, a little window there. You can also do one over here on the side, maybe two. There we go. Got a couple of windows there. Now I'm going to take some straight white, just a little bit, and I need to. Okay, yep, do some straight white. And I'm going to put some little indicators around the side of the windows. Some little, yep, just a little outline with some little siding and some little trim there. Put some little indications of some boards and some little trim there for the windows. Yeah, and then for let me clean my brush because I got a little bit of black on my white paint there. And pardon me a second, I have to get down here and get some more paper towels. My getting a little waterlogged. There we go. Put that there. All right. So now we're back in business. Okay, so again, going with straight white. With the flat edge brush. And I'm going to kind of put the indication of a barn door here. And just using that straight edge of the brush to your advantage. That's one of the easiest ways to paint lines. Is using that brush to mark off where you want your. Okay, let's do a center board there. And let's do a, I don't know, let's do the typical little crisscrossy barn door style there. It's going from the center of one door to the middle of the other. Yeah, that's a cute little barn, huh? All right. Okay, I'm gonna rinse my brush off. Yeah, that's a nice little barn. Okay, now we have this this thing here in the center that is I'm thinking it's going is kind of a road, but we're gonna kind of do something a little different with this. So I'm gonna take that brown that I did for the land in front of the barn. And I'm letting that dry so I can put some other details on there. So that's why I'm not going to really do too much with that side. So I'm adding some of that brown and pulling it out to the side. Actually, I got quite a bit here. I'm going to get a little bit of black. That may be too much, but that's okay. We'll work with it. These things happen, whether you want them to or not. Let's just make a darker brown road. Okay. So now on this side, on the right side here, I'm going to kind of make the indication of a dirt road. I was kind of tapping it first, but then I just finished and figured out I'm just going to going inwards from the outside edge. I'm going to use a larger brush since there's a little more surface area to cover down here. Going back to the big Going back to the large angled brush. Okay. And if you and it's kind of nice if you happen to get a bunch of different browns and beiges and stuff in there, that's okay, because that just adds all kinds of different character to your road. It's a whole bunch of different colors and textures, and this makes it look a little more interesting. Okay, add a little bit of water to my brush. It gets sticking a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of brush this off to the way off to the side here on the bottom. You may not be able to see it real well. Okay, a little more. Okay, and I'm only going about halfway. Okay. Okay, now for the other side, and I'm not even going to clean my brush yet, since I'm just going to be putting a darker color over top of it. I'm going to pull a little bit of black off to the side, a little bit of white. Okay, maybe quite a bit more white. We want to make a dark gray. Okay, and then from the other side of the street, we're going to try to keep it as relatively flat as possible. And when you're brushing inwards from the outside edge, as you get to where the dirt road is, lift your brush off right at that edge, and that will kind of what they call dry brushing it. It'll kind of blend it in, just all by itself. It's a pretty neat thing to watch it happen like that. And I'm just kind of scrubbing a little bit, just because there's plenty of paint in my brush, but sometimes it doesn't want to come off on the palette, on the canvas. Okay. And again, if you have some extra, your darker gray or lighter gray or any sorts of differences in the colors, that's okay. That just adds the extra character. And I mean, heck, when was the last time you saw one of our roads that looked all one color, huh? Okay. 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 A lot of surface area in this road. Okay. Just about got it done here. Just trying to scrub in the last little bit of paint from my brush here. Add a little touch of water just to kind of loosen that up a little bit. There we go. There we go. All right. Kind of brush some of that over here, brush some of that in there, and I'm just kind of blending in some of these things here across the middle. Oh, got a little hair there, so we can pick that puppy off there. Here we go. All right, and I'm going to use. I have some paint left on this chisel one here. I'm just going to kind of brush some of that across. Okay. Okay, let me rinse that brush off. Oh, looks like I got a little splash of water on my canvas here. Acrylic and water, I mean, they mix really well, but they also don't mix very well when they're on the canvas. Sometimes they don't like to play well together, and that water likes to take your paint off. So I just fix that up a little bit. Okay. Okay, I'm just kind of blurring the road, so to speak, just blending that together. All right. Okay. Now I'm gonna take some white. It's a little bit of white now. Kind of make the indication of like, you know, that's a road line. Okay. All right. And let's just for thoroughness sake, I'm just going to grab some yellow. This may or may not work like I had hoped, but we'll see. All right. I grab my angled brush that I like so much, and I'm just grabbing some yellow. It might be a little too bright. Let's tone that down a little bit. And be careful if you ever need to if you ever need to add if you ever need to darken yellow, be very careful, because if you add black to yellow, it will turn it green. There is a tint of blue in most blacks, so just kind of keep that in mind if you ever need to mix those colors together. If you need a darker yellow, it's best to add like an opposite color, which would almost be well, yeah, black is probably your best option, but you might have to add a touch bit of red to take the green out of it. So let's see here. All right, next we're going to use I'm going to go ahead and use a fan brush. Just a small fan brush. I don't have a larger one for acrylics. I have them for oils, but not for acrylics. And I'm going to create a green. I want to make some little grassy things over by the barn there. So I'm just loading it up with all kinds of different colors of greens. Green, blue, yellow. I'm just going to let it mix it right there on the brush. So, and just right by the road here, I'm just going to kind of do some, just press it and kind of lift up. Just kind of gives an indication of some little grassy things. And again, they don't have to be perfect. I'm gonna add some little touch of water. I'm gonna go ahead and just there's gonna be some little green things and little blue things in there, and that'll just add some neat effects. Okay. And just since the shadow of those trees there is falling on the brown of the dirt by the barn, I'm going to kind of create a little shadowed color just to make that look like it's supposed to be there. So I'm just creating a little darker brown shade, and I'm just going to go right along there and add just that little shadowed area to make it look like it belongs there. And just for continuity, I'm going to add the indication of a shadow on the side of the barn. Again, just so it looks like it belongs there. There. That just makes it look a little more normal. That's called fixing the happy accident. Okay. All right. So now we're actually almost finished. We just got a few more things to do. First of all, okay, I'm going to go back to, first of all, I'm going to use my, let's see here. I'm going to use my angle brush. I mean, what other brush would I use, right? Okay. So, and I'm going to use my angle brush, and I'm going to create a few different colors here. I'm going to create, first of all, an orangish base, and one thing to keep in mind, red is a very, very, very powerful color. So it doesn't take much for red to overtake anything. If you're trying to create, like, say, like a shade of purple, the blue is the most powerful, red is second, a very close second. So just kind of keep those in mind when you're doing your colors here. So I'm making a few colors, and we're gonna, make four, a few little figures here. So let's put one right here. And I'm just gonna make these pretty much like just basic stick people. Basic stick figures. Nothing fancy. I have a really hard time drawing people, so stick figures are great. So we're going to just create some indication of some arms. And I have a round brush in my hand here for doing the head. Okay. And I'm going to add, let's see here, a little more red, a little more yellow. I gotta make some more of that color. And actually, if it happens to be just a tad darker, that's entirely fine. That's entirely good. That's kind of what we're going for. Oop, too much dark. Okay, and if you make too much dark, well, then you just have to create another color or start over in that color. Or you can also run with it. Let's see if we add some yellow to that. No, that's not going to work too well. Well, yeah, well, we'll tilt around with it. Okay, and we're going to okay, rinse my brush off, dry it off real good, add some more of that color. Okay. Okay. And let's add tiny bit of red to that. Okay. Okay. I'm just kind of coming up with some different skin tones. Yeah, let's go with that one. That's okay. Changing back to my round brush. It's definitely much easier to draw circles with a round brush. Funny how that works, but it does. Okay. And okay. And let's make a slightly darker shade of that color. Okay. Just trying to work the right get the right shades I'm looking for. There we go. And we're gonna go. Okay. All right, and then let's see. Let's put a. Okay, let's get a slight. Okay, a little bit of yellow, a little more white. Okay, let me rinse this brush off. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's actually a pretty much all we have going on. We have a pretty much finished painting. Obviously, you're more than welcome to add anything you'd like and create, make it your own, and have fun with it. Um, when in case you didn't hear, when I first came up with the concept of this, I really didn't know what charity was being fundraised for, and when the state personnel department approached me to host another paint and lunch and canvas, I really didn't know what I wanted to paint. So all of a sudden, this image popped into my head. I'm gonna go ahead and change my my camera here. Oh, it looks like GoPro froze again, didn't it? That's great. All right, let's fix this here. There we go. And I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my camera view here. So we have our finished piece, as you saw. Yeah, well, as I was mentioning, when I was thinking about the idea of what I wanted to do with this, I really didn't know. All of a sudden, this vision popped into my head, especially with everything that's going on with with there's just a lot of darkness going on right now in the country, and for various reasons. You can pick your reason, whichever you prefer. But it's ugly either way. So I felt that what better way than express unity than to come up with a painting that hopefully shows unity. Um, and we're always much better together. Um, Even with our differences, our differences are what makes us all beautiful and what makes us human. And I think once everybody can understand that we are all different and allows everybody to be their different person, I think everybody's going to be much better off. Just be you and allow others to be them. So I hope you all really enjoyed this painting. I hope you'll enjoy it. And I had a great time teaching it. And I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks. Bye-bye.